there's this kind of silence after loss. It's really profound. Like maybe when you first wake up and just out of habit, you reach across the bed. And you know that reaching won't ever be answered again. The weight of that silence is just immense. And it's in those moments when everything feels sort of hollowed out, that the smallest things, the quiet, repetitive actions, they become, well, lifelines. The click of the kettle boiling. Or maybe you catch yourself saying good morning out loud to an empty room, or leaving a light on that you don't need. Our sources suggest these aren't just empty habits. They're actually a really powerful, quiet way we keep loving when words just aren't enough. So our mission today is to take a deep dive into these very specific daily routines, how they can transform that sort of static pain of grief into something active, an ongoing expression of love. We're looking at this fascinating collection of rituals people create, everything from, using a certain coffee mug to tending a particular patch in the garden, and how these acts are, well, fundamentally shifting how we relate to loss.
It's really timely, this dive, because it mirrors a huge shift happening in grief research itself, a real paradigm shift. For years, decades, the whole conversation was dominated by ideas like closure or letting go, getting over it.
Right. That language is everywhere.
It is. But now research, especially work coming out of places like Utrecht University, it's focusing much more on something called continuing bonds. And the core idea is, well, it's simple, but also quite revolutionary. It suggests that love doesn't just stop when someone dies.
Okay.
It simply changes its address, you could say. The place it occupies in your life shifts. And these daily rituals we're talking about, they are the physical, tangible manifestation of that new address.
It sounds almost too simple, that the answer to dealing with something as overwhelming as loss could be found in these small, repeated actions. Was there a specific finding, that really convinced researchers the simplicity was actually the key?
Well, it was seeing the transformation of the experience for people. They observed that these deliberate rituals, like pouring 2 cups of coffee when you only need 1, or walking the exact same path every day, they don't actually erase the pain. How could they?
No, of course not.
But what they do is give the pain a purpose, a container. They help turn something that feels unbearable into something meaningful, something manageable, bit by bit over time.
So the ritual itself becomes the meaning.
In a way, yes. It becomes a kind of tangible bridge back to the person. It offers structure, predictability, right when life feels utterly chaotic. It's a bridge, not a wall sealing them off in the past.
Okay, let's unpack that. Let's see how people actually build those bridges.
Yeah.
Because the source material we looked at is just full of these really specific sensory rituals, it feels like holding hands across time. We can start with the ones that are really anchored in physical things, in objects and senses, like Sarah and her late husband, Tom. Every single morning, she still makes 8 cups of coffee.
8 cups, but she only drinks
4, exactly. She fills her own mug, and then she fills his old chipped blue mug, the one he kept saying he'd fix but never did.
Okay, so she fills his mug, but then what? She doesn't drink it, presumably.
No, she doesn't drink it. The point isn't the drinking, it's the act of preparing it. She takes Tom's full mug out to the back door, and she pours it onto the rosemary bush he planted years ago.
Oh, wow.
And she says it's the smell. The hot coffee mingling with the scent of the rosemary rising up. Just for a moment, she says, it feels like he's standing right behind her.
That's incredibly specific. The sensory trigger coffee and rosemary together, creating that momentary feeling of presence.
Exactly. It anchors the memory right into the present.
And we see that powerful link with food, too, don't we? In the sources, like Priya's ritual, the Thursday eggplant curry.
Oh, this one's beautiful. So much detail. Priya's mother taught her this recipe when she was just 8. Showed her how to score the eggplants, she said, like tiger stripes.
Right, I remember that detail.
And ever since her mother's funeral, every Thursday, Priya pulls out that old stained recipe card and makes that curry.
And the key part there, again, is the sensory trigger, isn't it? It's the smell.
Yes. She says the moment the cumin hits the hot oil, that specific aroma fills her apartment. And instantly she's 8 years old again, standing on a little stool next to her mother at the stove. She eats alone now, but she always sets 2 plates. The ritual isn't just about food. It's about deliberately invoking that shared history, tasting the memory.
It's about connection, not just consumption. And this theme, incorporating a piece of shared life, it comes through so strongly in the story of Tom and the dog, doesn't it? The lakeside loop.
Yes, Tom walks the dog they adopted together. the very week they got engaged.
So it's the same trail, the same routine?
Same trail, same bench where they used to sit. He even finds the same kind of stick for the dog. Consistency.
But the story has this added layer now, right? Because the dog is old.
Yeah, the dog is 15 now.
Mhm.
Arthritic, very slow. So
Okay.
the rituals had to change. Tom actually carries the dog for the last quarter mile back to the car.
Wow. So the burden, the physical effort, has become part of the ritual itself, part of the bond.
Exactly. And he said something. It really stuck with me. He said the dog, this living link to their shared past. He says the dog is waiting for her too.
Mm. That reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? It turns a daily chore, maybe even a burden, into this shared pilgrimage. It underlines that the love didn't end, it just changed form, became this shared task of waiting, in a way. So those first examples really showed how physical objects, sensory details, can anchor that continuing bond. But this next set of stories we looked at, they focus more on how consistency in time, and also sound, can create a similar sense of presence, but maybe more, invisibly.
Yeah, like the 7.15 candle. This one really highlights the specificity of time. Mark's late wife, Elise, she apparently used to call 7:15 p.m. wine 30.
Right, wine 30, little inside joke.
So now, Mark has this single beeswax candle. And it's not just any candle. He found one that's the exact height of the wine bottle they typically use to open together.
That level of detail is something else.
Isn't it? And every evening, at 7:15 sharp, he lights it. He sets the table just for himself, for one, but her chair, where she always sat, is pulled out just slightly, like she might arrive any moment.
So the candle becomes a timer, almost, marking out that shared moment they used to have.
Precisely. And when the flame burns down close to the bottom, near the end of its bottle height, that's his cue. He whispers, "Good night, love." Just like he did every night for 31 years. Is this incredibly precise, time-bound connection ritual.
And in stark contrast to that quiet, solitary candle ritual, you have Maria's, which is all about volume, isn't it? The drive time duet.
Yes, this follows the tragic loss of her son Luca in an accident when he was 17.
And the ritual involves his music in the car.
Right. She hasn't changed the radio presets in the car since it happened. Years now. So every commute starts with Luca's playlist, blasting. You know, The Strokes, Phoebe Bridgers.
And wasn't there a funny sea shanty remix, too?
Yes, that silly sea shanty remix he loved. She says the sound itself, his music filling the car, it feels like a visit from him.
A visit through sound.
Yeah. And she says sometimes she sings along at the top of her lungs until her throat hurts. Other days, she just cries so hard she has to pull over. But either way, singing or crying, the music makes him feel present, viscerally, there in the car where they spent so much time together.
The car becomes this kind of mobile sanctuary where the connection happens, mediated by sound. It's powerful.
And maybe the simplest, most direct sound ritual in the sources was the bedtime voice memo. This was the parents of Sophie, a little girl who died when she was only 6.
Ah, yes, they kept her old iPod.
They did. And every single night, without fail, they play the same 43-second recording. It's of Sophie reading Goodnight Moon, her little voice.
Just 43 seconds.
Yeah. And they listen specifically for one line she reads, "Goodnight noises everywhere." That short recording, her actual voice, becomes their nightly lullaby. It's her reaching across time saying goodnight to them.
So precious. That connection through the actual recorded voice is incredibly direct.
Now let's shift a bit, because some of these continuing bonds, they seem to live on in the absolute smallest things, almost unconscious habits, the things that just happen because your body or your mind hasn't quite caught up with the absence yet.
Yes, this is where the absence itself sort of triggers the ritual, however small. Like David, whose wife Anna passed away.
Right, the seatbelt habit.
Exactly. He gets in the car, starts the engine, and he still automatically says seatbelt. It was just their little routine.
And she always replied, "Yes, Captain." That was her line.
So now he says seatbelt to the empty passenger seat. And the ritual part. He told the researchers he waits just 2 full seconds before pulling away from the curb.
Just 2 seconds.
As if he's giving her that moment, that space to click her belt and say her line. That tiny pause, that silence where her response should be. That's the entire ritual, holding the space for their conversation.
Wow. That's subtle but so powerful.
And then there's Jen. Her ritual is tied to her cat, Milo, who died, specifically the time he died.
Milo died at 3:07 a.m., right? So Jen's ritual happens at 3:07.
Every single evening, she goes out to water Milo's catmint patch.
The catmint patch.
Yes. And while she's watering, she talks to the plant. Tells Milo about her day, what's been happening, her worries, her dreams.
But she's nurturing the plant, but also the connection.
Precisely. It's become this living memorial. She's tethering her bond to that exact time of death, but channeling it into nurturing something alive, something green, something they shared. And apparently, the plant is enormous now, attracts loads of bees. It's this beautiful, specific, living commitment.
And of course, these bonds are finding ways to exist in our digital lives too, aren't they? The sources mentioned several examples.
Oh, absolutely. Rituals are evolving with our tools. We saw things like someone maintaining a private Pinterest board, pinning recipes that were in their loved one's actual handwriting,
That's lovely.
or families creating shared playlists, maybe just titled For Dad, that everyone contributes to, or even Jen, she has a recurring alarm on her phone.
Let me guess.
Yep, labeled Water Milo's Plant, and it goes off every day at 3:07 p.m.
So these digital acts can work too.
Yeah.
But is there a key to making them effective? It seems like maybe they work best when they're not huge public displays.
That's exactly what the sources concluded. They seem most potent, most helpful when they stay small enough to fit inside a heartbeat.
Fit inside a heartbeat. I like that.
Yeah, it means they need to remain intimate, personal, manageable, something that strengthens that inner private connection without becoming this big performance or this overwhelming task of documenting everything.
Okay, so for you listening, thinking about all this,
Yeah,
these stories aren't just moving anecdotes. They really offer a kind of blueprint, don't they?
they do.
The core idea seems to be about taking those gaps, those moments where the absence feels sharpest, and intentionally giving them a tender purpose.
Exactly. If you're looking for a way to navigate loss, the sources suggest starting right there with the habit or the moment that hurts the most. Maybe it's the silence at dinner, or the empty side of the bed, or walking past their favorite chair.
And you take that painful gap.
And you fill it gently with a deliberate sensory ritual, something you do.
And the sources gave some practical advice, too, for creating these continuing bonds in a healthy way. First, make it sensory right.
Yes, crucial. Anchor the action in the physical world somehow. It could be the weight of that specific mug, like Sarah's, or the feeling of cool soil under your fingernails, maybe planting something, or that specific smell, like Priya's cumin. It makes the connection tangible.
Okay, sensory. What else?
Second, this is really important for making it sustainable. Allow the ritual to breathe. Give yourself permission to be inconsistent.
Okay, so you don't have to do it perfectly every single day.
Not at all. The experts stressed this. Some days you might desperately need that ritual, that moment of connection. And other days, life might get busy, or you might simply forget, or not feel the need as strongly. Both are okay. The bond isn't broken if you miss a day. It's still there.
That feels important. Less pressure.
Definitely. And finally, there's the point about breaking the potential isolation of these very private acts.
Because they often are intensely personal, done alone.
They are. But the sources really highlighted the value of sharing your ritual with just one safe, trusted person.
Just one.
Yeah.
Not necessarily announcing it widely.
No, not necessarily. Just telling one friend or a family member, I still pull mom's chair out at dinner, or I still pour dad 2 cups of coffee sometimes. Just saying it out loud often stops the ritual from feeling lonely or, weird.
It validates it.
Exactly. It acknowledges that this continuing bond exists outside your own head, and it lets someone else gently bear witness to that ongoing love.
So when you step back and look at all these stories, the coffee on the rosemary, the eggplant curry, the dog walk, the candle, the playlist, the catmint patch, there's a deeper truth emerging, isn't there? Routine in this context. It's like love's stubborn, quiet, daily refusal to use the past tense.
That's beautifully put.
It feels like a conscious choice made over and over, not to just file away the people we've lost as if they're entirely in the past.
That really is the key synthesis, I think. Every single second mug poured, every time that arthritic dog gets carried along the familiar path, every flicker of that 7.15 candle flame. These acts, they're like these small, quiet rebellions. They push back against the idea that death gets the final say, that it ends everything. These repeated actions, they make a very simple but incredibly profound statement. They say, you are not just a memory filed away, you are a habit, a presence, a love I will never break.
So as you, listening, reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider this thought. What loves, what connections in your own life feel too large, too significant to be contained within just a single lifetime? And following from that, think about what specific, small, maybe sensory act you could choose, even starting today, to honor that continuation. How might deliberately maintaining a bond through a simple routine fundamentally change your relationship with the past? Not seeing it as a closed book, but perhaps, as our experts suggested, as a living presence that has simply changed its address.